Today I'm going to show you how to upgrade a Kubernetes cluster. I'm going to be doing it in AWS, so that's an EKS cluster. And this is how the process goes. This is actually a slide from a previous video I did for an interview question, but when you upgrade a Kubernetes cluster, what you're first doing is you're doing some preparation work and then some post upgrade work. So you check the release notes. You definitely should do that for deprecated APIs because you may need to adjust your manifest. And then you perform the upgrade, and after you update your client tools like kubectl, etc. But today we're going to focus on this middle section here, the actual infrastructure upgrade. First you upgrade the control plane, then you upgrade what some people call the data plane, which is the worker nodes, and then you update also the add-ons as well. So I'm going to switch over to the AWS console. So here we are in EKS. This is a fresh cluster that I've literally just created. It's active, so that's all good. I created it on version 1.30. In this video we're going to upgrade it to 1.31. It's just warning us here, hey, standard support is going to run out this summer, so you better do something about it. By way of another thing, a warning is a banner up here basically saying the same thing, and even up here at the top it's saying the same thing, that a new version is available. It also mentions that there are upgrade insights. This is something fairly new to EKS, so if you look down here it says upgrade insights, 3 are green, 1 is red. This basically runs about once an hour and it checks what can be upgraded, especially your add-ons. We'll have a look at that later. It's not critical to what we're going to do. But before we do that stage 1 upgrade the cluster, I want to show you the worker node. So we're going to go here, I'm going to click on compute. And I've just scrolled down a little, and here you can see that there's a node group that is being created. Now, the example I'm going to show you today is with a managed node group. You can have self-managed nodes, and there are other configurations as well. I'm not doing EKS Auto today, so I can't show you how to upgrade for every single type. But this is pretty middle of the road kind of cluster with a managed node group. So I'm going to click on here on this managed node group. So here's the node group. Now the key details here are the node group is said to have a Kubernetes version of 1.30. What that means is that the image, the AMI, is also 1.30, and that's important. It has to be within, I think, 1 or 2 versions of the cluster version. If you look over here as well, just a little bit more info, we've got here that this is 3 nodes, and if you see here 3 subnets. So it's basically 1 node per subnet. In the update config here, you can see here that it says maximum available 1 node, and the update strategy is default. What this is actually going to do is it's going to create 3 nodes when we upgrade the nodes. So it's going to go from 3 to 6, and then it's going to trash the old nodes. So you can have a different strategy. You can have like more of a rolling strategy where you create 1 new one and then you ditch 1. Create 1 new one, ditch 1, create 1 new one. That way you'll only ever have maximum 4. But if you can, just go, it's going to be quicker, just go from 3 old to 3 new and then ditch all the old ones. And just back on the main details tab, you can see here that there's an auto-scaling group that this actually uses, and in there's also an associated launch template. So this is all managed. You can actually manage the launch template yourself if you want, but I've chosen to have that be AWS managed. I think this is a nice kind of halfway house. I don't want this whole cluster and everything in it to be fully AWS managed, but this gives me quite a lot of fine control still, but not everything, because I want some savings, some advantages from being in the cloud. So here we are back on the main cluster page, and you can see that there are 3 buttons saying upgrade. It's really giving me a lot of options. Doesn't matter, I'm going to hit any of these. So I'm going to click on one of these, and now it's asking me to choose a version. So actually, I don't know if you're aware of this, but in Kubernetes you cannot skip minor versions. You have to go from one to the next. So we're currently at 1.30. We're going to go to 1.31, which it already auto-selected for us. It's just telling us, hey, look, there's some issues, and you may want to do these insights. I'm not going to do that because the add-ons that were already installed, which it says there might be an issue with, that was part of the default install. So I'm kind of pretty sure that there are no issues. So I'm just going to ignore that for the time being. And then it's just saying, look, this cannot be reversed. If you want a previous version, well, you ain't going to get it. You need a new cluster. So I'm going to click on this orange upgrade button down here. Yeah, and it kind of looks like nothing is happening. It still says it's active. So what I'm going to do is click that refresh button, which is just here. And now you can see it's changed. It says status updating, and the version is 1.30. Now I estimate this is going to take about 10 minutes or something. So I'm going to just pause the video here. By the way, before I come back, just to let you know, it's not like you won't have any downtime while this is going on. Everything is fine. You can perfectly well update the cluster, the control plane, whilst the cluster is being used to serve applications. There's absolutely no problem with that. Now, one other thing, you may also notice up here it says, when the version update completes, then update all node groups and worker nodes to match the new cluster version. So indeed, we're going to wait. We're going to wait for that status updating to change back to active. Okay, great. So I just refreshed again. It's been about 10 minutes, and it says here status active, cluster health issues 0. Kubernetes version is now 1.31, and the support period is extended to November. There isn't another yellow banner saying to upgrade, so it's not hassling me as much. The upgrade insights, remember, those are only happening once an hour, so you can't unfortunately tell it to poll again. I'm going to ignore that. It's not really a concern. So let's click down here on compute. We want to check out the node groups, and you can see that there's a new message now. It says new AMI releases, so that AMI is the image available for one node group. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scroll down, and then I'm going to click on this link to open up the node group, and again it's just reminding us update now. But if you look over here to the left, it says Kubernetes version 1.30 as it was before, and the AMI is 1.30, so yeah, we need to update that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this button right now, and it presents us with this option. It says here, update your node group AMI release version to the latest available version for your 1.31 cluster. Rolling update is the default option. It says it respects pod disruption budgets for your cluster, which we don't have any, I don't think. The update fails if it cannot successfully drain the pods that are running on this node group due to any issue. Rolling update. There is another option called force update. If you click on that, it says does not respect those budgets, forces node restarts, and it may disrupt applications. I mean, actually, I believe that if you are running even now Windows nodes, but it should be built into Kubernetes that even if you issued an operating system Linux shutdown on the node, then it should actually not kick the pod. It should gracefully do a shutdown and release those pods. So, but maybe this is some over and above that additional. So we're going to go to rolling update. I'm going to click on update here. And now there's a banner that says node group version update is in progress. Node group 01 is now being updated. It will take several minutes. It will vary depending on the size of the node group, and status here is updating. So like before, I'm just going to have to keep hitting that refresh button and wait for that updating to change to, I don't know, healthy or whatever. But down here where it says auto-scaling group now, I want to show you what's happening here. Because remember, we have 3 nodes. So all that I want to show you here is that there are now 6 nodes. So 3 new nodes have been spawned. We should expect to see the old 3 ones get terminated. So they're healthy from an ASG perspective. They're healthy as virtual machines, but I think this has to wait for some other checks that Kubernetes has to do and wait for the pods to move over before the old ones can be terminated. Now I could prove to you by going into each individual instance that the new ones have the new AMI and the old ones have the old AMI or image, but I don't really think that's going to serve any purpose. Just take my word for it. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep hitting this refresh button here. And actually, maybe you spotted this, but I was too busy looking at that healthy column. But if you look at lifecycle column here, you can see, look, one of them is being terminated. And look at that, it was terminated, and now we're down to 5, so I expect another one to be terminated. So I kept hitting that refresh button, and just as expected, another one is now being terminated. And it's a good time just to clarify exactly what's happened. So first of all, when we started this upgrade process, 3 new nodes with the new image that are compatible with the new cluster version, they were created. So 3 new nodes, and we still had 3 old nodes. And then what would have happened behind the scenes is EKS would have automatically for us on the old node, it would have first cordoned it. That means putting kind of like police tape going around a perimeter area and preventing new pods being scheduled on that node. No more new pods. So first would have cordoned it. Then it would have drained the node. And draining the node is saying, right, pods, we're gonna do this in a nice way, but you need to leave now. Like leaving a party but without using any violence or anything like that. You need to leave now. And what would have happened is the pods would have left that node and jumped onto another node. Hopefully they would have seen the new node almost empty and jumped onto that. So the cordon and the drain process, they were handled for us. But in other situations, people may need to manage that themselves using kubectl cordon, kubectl drain commands. In our case, it happens automatically as part of this update managed node group process. That's why it's called a managed node group, because it manages many things, including this. And now you can see that the final old node is being terminated. Obviously, it's already been cordoned and drained, and the pods have been rescheduled. It's now time to terminate it. When it terminates, it'll be the last old node to get out of this ASG and manage node group. I've actually come back to our node group 1 page just in anticipation of this finishing soon. Just press refresh. It still does say status updating, but we know that's going to complete very soon. And there you go, it's now completed. It says status active, and over here I didn't check a minute ago, but it does say Kubernetes version 1.31 and the AMI or the image 1.31 version. Great. So we've upgraded the control plane, which was the cluster version. We've upgraded what's called sometimes the data plane, which is the nodes with the new image. That's all been successful. We now also still have to do the add-ons. So what I'm going to do is just click here, add-ons. Now, I've installed just the default add-ons pretty much with this cluster, and you can see the message on the blue banner says new versions are available for 3 add-ons. Now let's have a look. Now, Core DNS is one version that we can upgrade, and it's currently 1.11, and actually this was already available for update before. Now what you're supposed to do with add-ons, let me tell you how this works. When you do an EKS upgrade, even before the upgrade, you should be checking out, reading every add-on that you already have installed and checking the notes. And seeing what happens if I move to the next version of Kubernetes for my cluster and obviously my node groups. What do I need to do with my add-ons? Do I need to upgrade them or not? So I'm just going to leave Core DNS. What I would do in reality is I would actually read the docs for Core DNS add-on. Do I need to update it, or should I update it? You know, what's recommended, etc. I'm just going to leave that, okay? Metric server is pretty standard. EKS pod identity agent is standard. VPC CNI is standard. You need CNI. That's also available to update. I'm going to leave that as well. You know, really I should read the docs. Node monitoring agent, that's standard. What I'm going to do is go to the next page. And here on page 2 we have the 6th and final add-on, which is kubeproxy. Pretty central to the functionality of Kubernetes. And you can see the version is 1.30. So what I can tell you is that there is a version for every Kubernetes version. There's a version of kubeproxy. Now we've just moved to 1.31, so pretty much I'll just say straight off the bat, we need to update this. Yes, I should read the notes, etc., but I know that we need to update this. It's like you have to do it pretty much, I think, with every Kubernetes upgrade. So without reading any docs, I'm just going to click update, and also to serve as demonstration for you. So let me click on this button. And it's just kind of an intermediate page here. I'm not going to open up optional. There's nothing interesting there. Look at the version 1.30. So if we pull this open, it's pretty much what I was telling you before, that there is like a major version and also several minor versions for every single version of Kubernetes. We're currently on 1.30, so now I will confess I'm not sure what I should necessarily choose here. What I will tell you is that it is limited to the version we've upgraded to, 1.31. So for example, even though there's a 1.32 available, it's just not showing it in this list. So that's obviously a good thing. But then which one do we pick? Should we pick the first 1.31? Should we pick the default? I'm not sure how they come to that default. Should we pick the latest? See, I don't know if default is latest -1. Really not sure how they came to that. Let's just pick the default. I think that's a good choice. And then I'm going to click on Save Changes. And now you can see we've got that blue banner, add-on update in progress, may take several minutes, status in progress. In my experience, it doesn't take too long to update add-ons, so I'm just going to have to keep hitting this refresh button over here. And that literally took like 20 seconds. It says now says status successful. Obviously, it will depend on the add-on. And just back on the main add-on page, I refreshed the page, and now you can see under kubeproxy it says status active, and it's on 1.31 version. Now just as a last quick thing, I thought I'd show you this upgrade insights here. I'm going to click on this, and this is actually pretty cool. You can see quite a few things. I mean, the first thing you notice is the last time that it refreshed was an hour ago, so it's one of those things that I don't believe you can just force refresh it, but it shows things like usage of deprecated APIs, which I think is really, really cool, and also add-on version compatibility and stuff like that. I'm going to click on over here for add-on version compatibility. And I've just scrolled down and it's mentioning here it's got an error next to core DNS. Now that was there when I deployed the server fresh, so I'm not really sure why that is. You'd think out of the box it should be fine. Of course I could just upgrade it and maybe that will cure the error. So that's troubleshooting for another time. It's not really relevant to what we've done today. The main thing for us is we're now on Kubernetes version 131 for both the cluster and the nodes as well. And I've shown you how to do the add-ons, but the process is the same for the rest of it. And that's pretty much it. What we can now do is think about the next version, upgrade 132. What you should really do is get this in a schedule for your team so that you're doing roughly once a quarter a Kubernetes upgrade. Do not do what happened. I went to an interview once and they said that they save all their upgrades for once a year. The problem with that is you'll just be out of practice, and each time you're going to have to cover the same ground again, figuring out how to do an upgrade, etc. And I really don't like that approach. It's much better to get a regular cadence. So finally, that's what we've done. We upgraded the control plane first, then the worker nodes, and then we looked at the add-ons. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. Come back to the channel. We've got more on Kubernetes and everything just generally cloud DevOps related, including Terraform, infrastructure as code, Python, Linux, Bash, cloud, and as I mentioned, Kubernetes as well. So hope you enjoyed this video and see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.